Yes, yes, yes. What is up? What is up, MCR family? Another weekly edition of the show, live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Should be a fun one today. Floyd Mayweather's fighting. Yeah, so we have to talk about that, I guess. Plus, Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo Alvarez went into a little petty Instagram beef. Cannot wait to dive into that one with Gary, of course, since we love to talk about the pettiness between those two. And also, Eddie Hearn has left Sky Sports in the UK. Matchroom UK has completely left Sky Sports. The last card, I believe, is either the Sam Egginton card or the Lewis Richardson card. There's Lewis Richardson card. Definitely going to dive into that one, as you know, we have talked about the zone in depth periodically throughout this show. A lot to get into, and plus we had fights this last weekend. You know, Nonito Donaire had a beautiful knockout against Obali. And obviously, Devin Haney had a performance. It was a performance. That's what I can say about it. But, of course, I'm joined by the one and only Gary in Dallas. Gary, how are you, man?
Good. I'm really good. It's good to be back. I had a lot of thoughts on Devin Haney. I can't wait to get into this Canelo-Oscar De La Hoya thing. Can we just do the video game sim of 154-pound Oscar against 154-pound Canelo? Because that's really the only – I know Oscar fought at 160, but he was never middleweight, right? So can we just do the sim? Because me and Matt's going to disagree on who wins that. Can we just have like a sim of Oscar in his prime?
Do we really disagree on that?
Yeah, I think Oscar would.
Well, the issue is that like you're doing a prime Oscar but not a prime Canelo.
No, 154 Canelo. I mean, that's the only weight. I know it's not, but that's the only weight they. If you say 160, Oscar was never 160. Canelo beats him at 160.
Then let's say it's a prime Canelo at 160, a prime Oscar at 154. Even though he's not really his prime at 154, and they do a catch weight. They do a Miguel Cotto style catch weight.
156.
Yes, I'm taking Canelo all day, every day.
I know you are.
Canelo already has a better legacy. Come on, man. Come on. He's a more complete fighter than Oscar ever was.
Oscar, I feel like Oscar is the Brett Favre of his era. Like, yeah, he's good, but all these guys are better. No, maybe they're not all better. Like, why is Elway better than Favre? I don't know that he is. Like, Oscar was so good. Like, I'm not taking away from Canelo. At 154, I take Oscar. At 160, I take Canelo. In the middle, boy, I don't know. But that's not a knock on Canelo. I think and it's not just you. I think because of everything, like Brett Favre sent pictures of his genitalia to unsuspected females, right? Because of the things that they've done, they become a joke. But, like, they were really, really good, right? I feel like Oscar, because of everything that he's done post his career, has become a joke, and we forget how good he is.
I mean, he obviously is a Hall of Fame fighter, but the reality is that Canelo has, I think, done more, has got better wins, and I think is, again, a more complete fighter. Like, Canelo can fight two ways. Oscar can never really fight on the back foot that much.
It wasn't his strong suit. He could fight in the inside. He could fight on long range, right? Could he fight going back? I tried it against Trinidad the last 4 rounds and lost. Although I don't really know that he lost the rounds. I mean, did Trinidad win those rounds? I don't know. Trinidad really didn't do much either. The judges said Trinidad won the round, but that's. I'm just De La Hoya fought everybody up until Pacquiao, right? Hopkins, Mayweather, Fernando Vargas, Felix Trinidad. Like, he fought Ike Quartet, and no one besides Whitaker ever outboxed him. He fought everybody. Like,
Mayweather outboxed him.
Not really, though. Not badly. Like, he may have won more rounds, but that was a really close fight. Like,
it was a close fight because it was a big Oscar and a smaller Mayweather at a crossroads of their careers. Right? Oscar was still pretty good at that time.
Yeah. No, he was.
Yeah.
He was.
Like, I think he was a less shot version than, let's say, the one that fought Manny Pacquiao.
The one that Manny Pacquiao, they had a catch weight under 147, and Oscar was done even fighting at 47. What y'all don't know is Oscar, they had a rehydration clause. Mm-hmm. And after Oscar drained himself to make weight, which was under I think it was 144, he had to jump rope because he couldn't come in the next day over like 150 or something like that, right?
Mhm.
So he didn't really start putting weight back on until noon the next day. So the one that fought Manny, yes, he made $50 million or whatever he made for that fight because he made all the back end money. That was a completely drained De La Hoya. Like that was not. And I'm not taking away from Pacquiao. Pacquiao did what he did, but that was not that was an absolutely drained. Like imagine cutting weight and then having to keep your weight down after the weigh-in because you have to weigh in at 150 the next day. Like that's where Oscar was in that fight. Fight should have never been made, but Oscar wanted $50 million, so he made the fight. And I don't fault him.
So Canelo was training some low kid, I believe, was what the video was. And Oscar came in, obviously feeling himself, saying, please, this guy does everything wrong. Head up when he throws hooks, on his heels, flat-footed. What else? Oh, he avoids Trin Charlo, which is Jamel Charlo. Canelo came back and said, do me a favor and go fuck yourself, which I got to say. I love it. He also added a plethora of emojis that obviously alluded to Oscar's sexual escapades with kitchen utensils. I love it. And then Carlo himself responded saying, listen, I don't know if Oscar De La Hoya is lying or not, but in 2014, he promised me or Gabe Rosado, the winner, gets Canelo. I won, but he ended up fighting Kirkland. Oscar De La Hoya is getting sick again. How do you go against your own countrymen? Viva Mexico. Gary, I mean, you're a Oscar fan, obviously, and we're both fans of Canelo. What do you think about the ongoing pettiness between the two? Because obviously this was the Oscar response was, I think, a response from Canelo's interview a couple of weeks ago, right? Where Canelo talked a lot of shit about Oscar and how Richard Schaefer ran the company and blah, 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 blah. Gary, your thoughts?
First off, he wants to make the Munguia. He wants to promote Charlo because he thinks he can sell and draw in Texas, especially with Munguia. If he can't promote Charlo, he at least wants to make the fight, so he's trying to suck up to Charlo. That's what I make of the Charlo bit. What I make of he's the angry ex-girlfriend who goes out and goes like this to all the girls, right? Like he called Canelo the greatest fighter in the world 100 times when he was promoting him. Now he's no good, right? Because he broke up with you. I mean, it's
Oscar calling Canelo.
It's the angry ex-girlfriend who had a heartbroken, and now she tells all of her friends, no, he's like this.
Oscar calling Canelo flat-footed, to me, is just...
That's what I'm saying. The critiques aren't even accurate. If you want to say he throws too many wide punches, okay. He doesn't use his jab enough. He's got a great jab. He should use it more. But, like, the critiques that he gave was just him being angry. Like, they weren't even fair critiques. It's like, Steph Curry can't even hit a three-pointer. It's like, come on, guy. Like, your critiques are ridiculous. Like, I mean, look, no fighter is perfect, right? Like, Floyd Mayweather didn't throw enough punches, right? Pernell Whitaker didn't have a lot of pop. Like, no fighter is perfect, right? Like, it's not a video game where you can set everything to 100 or 99. I mean, fighters can do things better.
I gotta admit, I'm pretty worried about Oscar's comeback fight at this point in time.
Is he fighting Sergio Martinez? Because that would be...
I have no idea who he's fighting still. I don't think it's been announced. Wait, is it Eddie Alvarez, right? Did that get it confirmed?
Santiago, we're looking at you.
Yeah, human box rec over here. Help us out here with that. I forget exactly if that fight was confirmed. But, I mean, clearly the guy is either not mentally well or he's still binging on something, if I had to assume. I just hope he gets well and doesn't fight and doesn't take more brain damage because clearly he doesn't need it. But Gary, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about the fights this last weekend so we can wrap that up because it's Thursday and it's already escaping our minds here. Let's start with Devin Haney because I think you mentioned that you have a lot to say about Devin Haney's performance. He beat Jorge Linares via unanimous decision. And he won, I would say, most of the beginning of the fight. I would say the first 7 or 8 or 9 rounds. He pretty much won just because of activity, great defense, and, just boxing fundamentals. Jorge Linares kind of kept his hands in his pockets, was kind of just plodding forward, not really doing that much of quality, efficient work. Jorge Linares did hurt him late, and obviously I think, as the boxing public has made a lot about the last 2 or 3 rounds, as Haney just surviving and not really recovering from the damage. But I think obviously the issues of maybe his recovery from hard shots or damaging shots is an issue to look into and think about going forward. But still, the main issue is his power, right? Like, still the main issue is that he cannot hurt anyone at all at the top. Like, Jorge Linares is someone that you should hurt.
Or cut and make bleed.
And he didn't.
I agree. The power is going to be an issue. And I had a big disagreement with Rob in our group chat. Like, I'm not saying Haney sucks. He's tremendously talented. He's tremendously athletic. He's a really good fighter. Not everyone at 22. I know this is going to sound weird because he's a world champion, right? I'm not knocking Haney. I think, but not everyone at 22 is ready, right? Like, I mean, he does so many things really well. And I think at a point that Haney will be able to beat these guys. But right now, I think Teofimo Lopez stops him. I think Loma outboxes him. I think Tanahara outboxes him. I think Ryan Garcia knocks him out. And I think Michael Rivera outboxes him. Now, 5 years from now, I think Haney's ceiling is so high, he could be better than all those guys. But that time is not right now, and it's okay because he's only 22. He is so young. Like, how old is Keyshawn Davis? I think he's 22, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're the same age. No one's expecting Keyshawn Davis to knock out world champions, right? I think. Well,
because Keyshawn Davis is 3-0 and now a world champion. The other one is a world champion and now
world champion.
Like, he's now 26-0. He's 26-0.
Yeah, I know, but he's not. He hasn't. I'm really not trying to sound like a Haney hater because I think Haney's skills are superb. I just don't think he's put all of the formula together yet. As Kwame Brown would say, Mama's cooking. He hasn't put all of Mama's cooking together.
Here's the reality. We are looking at another Demetrius Andrade. Like, that is
Andre's got power. He hurts everyone. He just doesn't follow up on it.
He hurts guys that are top 30 guys in the world. When's the last time you faced even a Jorge Linares type of fighter?
He doesn't fight.
Andrade fights Walter White from somewhere in Africa. Like, that's what Andrade does. Okay, he doesn't fight anyone of note. Doesn't fight anyone important. All right, that's why he's able to hurt guys in the first 3 rounds.
He's a world champion, but he fights with nobody. He's a horrible fighter. Horrible.
Like, remember when Haney had that really flashy knockout against Antonio Moran?
Yeah.
Great example. Like, Haney can knock out some guys that are top 30, top 40 guys, but once he gets to the top 10, top 15,
he's not knocking people out.
He's not knocking anyone out. He's not hurting anyone.
If you have speed like Haney does, you can get stoppages at that level, right? Because you can hurt him and then just let the hands go and make the ref stop the fight. Once you get to this level, no, he's not stopping people.
No, he's not stopping people that he should hurt. Like, and not only that, he's not even damaging them. He's not even hurting them at all. Like Gamboa, he didn't hurt. Jorge Linares didn't hurt. I don't want to sound like a Haney hater either, but like, that's how we have to react. Like, his performances as of late have been shit. When they have been performances that he should have showcased in, to be quite honest, showcased against faded veterans. That's been the bread and butter for boxing prospects for decades, probably the entirety of the sport. And he can't pass the test in my eyes. He can't.
I think we have to, like, Teofimo Lopez is a world champion. Ryan Garcia is a contender. Devin Haney, and no disrespect, Devin Haney's still in the prospect level. I know he's got a world championship title, so it sounds weird, but like.
Hey, but we talked about this with Gervonta Davis. When you put your belt around your waist, when you put yourself at that level, you have set the standards for yourself to meet. And if you don't meet those standards, you deserve the ridicule. You deserve the criticism. Okay, Gervonta Davis received it when he fought nobodies. At least he knocked them out. Okay. And when he faced these faded veterans like Gamboa, at least he finished them. Like, that's the difference. He can pass the prospect test and, earn a spot amongst the top in the elite of the world because he beat up veterans. Haney has survived off of his skill, his defense, his speed, and his boxing IQ. That's what he has survived on. I'm using that word specifically here because Jorge Linares was marching him down for 12 rounds. Linares is not a guy that does that. Like, Linares is not a guy that marches down you like a wannabe Julio Cesar Martinez. That's what you try to do here. Jorge fucking Linares, at God knows how old, God knows how many stitches and cuts. God knows how many knockouts. Like, how, Haney? How is he walking you down? This shouldn't be happening. It's ridiculous. You mentioned Tifon Lopez, Loma, Ryan Garcia, Richard Comey, I think beats him.
Oh, Richard Comey. Yeah, that was the name I could. Comey stops him.
I think Nakatani beats him.
That's an interesting one. I want to see Nakatani again, but that's an interesting one.
Hell, I think even guys like George Kambosos and Lee Selby and those type of guys will give Haney so many issues that he will barely win 7 rounds.
He beats those guys though.
Barely. And that's the unfortunate part. He barely beats these like borderline top 10 guys.
That's why them getting him this belt this early in his career, I don't think did anyone any favors. I know he was a 21-year-old champion at the time, or 20.
Luke Campbell beats him.
I mean, I'm not trying to hate on Devin Haney, and Rob said how his skills are good. He just hasn't put together. He hasn't put it together yet. Like Canelo, when Canelo lost to Floyd, and then he beat Angulo, and then he beat Kirkland, and he lost to Laura. I would say he's a really good fighter. He's not the pound for pound king. He's not the best guy in the sport, but when he got older, he put it all together, and now he's clearly the best. I would have never foreseen Canelo being the pound for pound king of the sport. I think he's good. He's really good, but he's not the best guy in the sport. Now he's the best guy in the sport. So what I'm saying is, like, what Haney is at 22 doesn't even – that's what Haney's going to be at 26, 28, and 30. Like, he can get a lot better because he's only 22.
He can. I've yet to see him improve in a long time. Like, when's the last time we really saw market improvement with Devin Haney?
I can't think of one. I mean, Moran would be the one where –
like, maybe even like the Showbox days. You have to go that far back when he kind of like started getting better and started throwing more, started getting a little more active. But even then, he's always been the next Demetrius Andrade in my mind.
Yeah. I mean,
Santiago's saying that he's right there with Jaime Munguia in terms of hype jobs.
Ooh, too bad we don't have the shots fired sound anymore.
I think I do. Hold on. Maybe I need to fix the. It's not coming up. That's weird. I don't know, Gary. I'll try to fix it. No, there's one. There we go.
Just a single shot fired.
Yeah, because I don't know if I agree with it yet. Because Munguia is like the ultimate hype job.
No, what's his name? Joey Spencer is the ultimate hype job.
I can't believe PBC named him Prospect of the Year like 3 years in a row. What were they thinking? God damn. Anyways, what else was on that card? Fights that I really don't care about. Jason Quigley beat Shane Mosley Jr.
Fun fight, right? Fun fight.
It was fun, but it's
insignificant. Yeah,
it's insignificant. You know what I mean? Like, it's when like Rosado fights nobodies and has fun fights. It's like, yeah, it's Rosado having a fun fight, but
like when they have the Hawaii Bowl, I think Aloha Bowl, whatever they call it, on Christmas Eve, and like SMU plays Hawaii, and it's like 56-51. Good game. Doesn't matter who wins, right?
Absolutely agree. Chantel Cameron beat up Melissa Hernandez bad on the way to a TKO finish in the 5th round. Martin Ward lost to Fuzeli. Rashad Mamadi defeated Ryan Pino. I did not see this fight, actually, and I wanted to see it because we've been talking about Maddie for a while. And that's it from fights that I can remember. Gary, any thoughts on that undercard?
Rashad Maddie looked like he was taking some steps forward, and then he took a step back. Maybe it was the layoff. He's been out of the ring for a while, but he was looking good. I was thinking he's not so good. Then he really impressed me, like when he fought on the Triple G undercard. Like, I thought he looked really good. And this was like a step back to where he was. Now, maybe it's like, I'm not trying to beat the guy up. Right? He was fighting really often, and then he's been off for months. But that was not Maddie's best performance. And I thought that was disappointing to see.
Yeah, I largely agree with that. Also, on Showtime on Saturday, obviously, Nonito Donaire, long time, but legend of the sport, if you want to call it that, and like fan favorite. Let's be honest, Donaire's always been a fan favorite for his style, his power, and that was on display on Saturday. Knocked down Nonino Obali several times for getting the finish in the 4th round. Gary, thoughts on the really fast-paced, fun fight and obviously the finish?
First off, shout out to Nonito for having Rachel work his corner. Like, most wives can't even watch their husband fight in that kind of fight. She worked the corner. Kudos to Rachel Donaire. I don't think I've seen a mom work the corner. I've never seen a wife work the corner. And she's doing a good job. So shout out to her. Donaire's performance, man, like, we will get into Pascal, I imagine. If you didn't know better, if he wasn't the first one that signed up with Margaret Goodman, you would just assume he's on steroids because this is ridiculous now. That was a vintage.
Hey, Vada has Victor Conte being their like brand ambassador,
and he's a snack guy. They don't even spell that right. But why would you sign up for it? Like, if you were cheating, and I'm not saying he is or he isn't, I don't know. But to me, it would sound dumb to be the first person to sign up for this thing if you were cheating. Donaire doesn't strike me as a dumb person, right? Like, he wouldn't go back to the scene of the crime.
Everybody is on steroids, Gary. Everybody. Donaire is making weight at like 41 years old at 118 comfortably and knocking motherfuckers out.
Look at like Donaire of 10 years ago. That performance was, given the quality of the position, I think O'Bali's good. That's incredible performance. Like, the dominance of that performance was incredible.
I know Spence has said that the upcoming Pacquiao fight has VADA testing, but as I've already alluded to, I don't really trust VADA testing or any real testing agency in today's age. Just being honest. I wouldn't be surprised if Pacquiao is looking beefed up for that fight. I'll say that. Don't be shocked if Pacquiao's not some faded old man in that fight, just like Donaire's not some faded old guy at a weight class he hasn't been in since he was like 22 years old.
I'm not trying to disrespect Pacquiao anyway, but he's been cheating for decades, or over a decade at least. Do you really think he'd take a fight where he couldn't take the special vitamins, as Lenny Dykstra called them?
But Frank on Twitch is right, though. Canelo, he's on Mexican beef, not steroids. So we have to be absolutely correct on that.
Mexican beef. Do you really think Canelo, at this point, at 42 or whatever he is now, would take a fight where, like, Mayweather wouldn't fight outside of Vegas where he could get the, what was it? The Andrews, whatever, in his hands?
TRT.
Yeah. And I'm not, like, whatever. They allow us to fight there, but he wasn't going to fight out of there. Do you think Pacquiao would take a fight where he doesn't think he can take steroids?
Like, guys, here's the deal. Like, when Victor Conte, again, the brand ambassador for VADA, is out there saying, yeah, they totally have stuff that all these athletes use that can beat the system today. You don't think that they're all using it? Like, all these guys that are fucking millionaires, they can afford it. Like, it's not that hard. Like,
like the Shane Mosley, when Shane Mosley was being subpoenaed, and he's like, I knew it was something. I knew it. Shout out to Shane Mosley.
And the best part of that case, I think people really forget about this, is that Shane Mosley never really failed a drug test.
He never failed a drug test.
They only found his name in the records for Balco.
Right.
That's how he got caught. It's not because he failed a test or anything like that. And this was back in 2002? Early 2000s.
Well, it was after De La Hoya. De La Hoya fight was 2003, so it was 2004. That's when, like, all the baseball players and the track and field star, whatever her name was, it was 2004.
Yes. But shout out to Donaire, man. Looking great. I don't know what rematch do you want next? Do you want the Inoue rematch or do you want the Rigo rematch? Or do you want Rigo, Inoue, and then Donaire can face the winner of that one? That's what I would prefer.
I would prefer that too, because that's a double winner.
Yeah, but that's not happening. It's boxing.
No,
we don't get our way. Even like this weight class, there's enough prima donnas now. Like Inoue, Rigo, and Donaire, all a little bit, big stars in their own right. So expect negotiations to be a little bit harder for those fights. That's my guess.
They still don't want to pay these guys, they still want to pay them like they are bantamweights, but they want to pay them like it's back in the day bantamweights where you could pay them, $200,000,
$100,000.
Yeah. And like these Donaire, Rigondeaux, the Monster, they're in the boxing world. At least I know if you call up your local sports talk radio and say who's Nonito Donaire or Inoue or Rigo, they're not going to know who that is. But in the boxing world, those guys are stars, and they demand a payday. And
not only that, in their own countries,
yeah,
they're relative stars, right? Like, I forget the population of the Philippines, but it's a pretty,
sizable country.
It is. I think it's bigger than the UK. I don't think it's bigger than Japan's population, but I think it's bigger than the UK's population. And I would assume Donaire is a recognizable name in Filipino households. Obviously, Inoue has been a gigantic Japanese star for years, pulling in 10 million, 20 million views over there on TV. So these are money fights. Like, that's just the reality to it. And Rigo obviously has always done good ratings and has the full backing of PBC at this point in time. Anyways, also on this card, Sabral Matias battered Batazan Jukambayev.
Can we talk about that fight for a minute? Because this, I can't say his name. Help me out with the name.
Batazan Jukambayev.
This was the game plan that he came up with. He could box, but he just stands in with Matias. I mean, that was the worst. And he was doing okay for a while, but Matias is good. He's a bulldozer. Don't stand in front of him. Right? Like, he tried, I think it was the 5th round or whatever. He tried to move a little bit laterally, side to side, and he had some success with it. But then he's like, out of hell with this. I'll just stand in with him. It's like, you're going to stand in with him? Like, you can outbox this guy for days, but you're going to stand in with him? I thought that was the single worst game plan since Laura stood in with Hurt. Like, I didn't understand that at all. Like, Matias fights one way. He's a wrecking ball, right? That's it. And I like Matias. I think, he's going to have some success at 140. I want to see him fight Barrios because it make him a fight when Barrios beats Tank. But why would you fight him like that? You just fought into his hands.
I don't know, man. But Sabral Matias is a badass motherfucker, man. That
He
guy.
is, but he's one-dimensional. He lost to a nobody because the guy boxed him.
I want him versus Prograis. But that'd be a fun fight.
If Prograis wants to sit there and school him, Prograis will sit there and school him. I mean, that depends on what Prograis wants to do.
True.
But skill-wise, Prograis another. And I'm not hating on Matias. Matias is fun to watch, but Prograis and Matias is not the same skill level.
No, I didn't say that they're the same skill level. That's just a fun matchup in my mind.
It is.
That would produce a, fireworks, as they say. Also, Gary Antoine Russell beat up Javon Santiago. Gary Antoine Russell is looking like the real deal as a prospect, in my opinion. Gary, your thoughts on that?
He looks phenomenal. I knew that he was going to have those that twitchy reflexes and the muscle and the speed, like the reflexes of the wrestlers, because they all have it. He looked really good. He's got power too. He knocks everyone out. Remember, Santiago was a guy that many, probably most people, probably the vast majority of people thought beat Broner. So I said, we're going to learn two things. I think we're going to learn that Gary Russell's really good and Broner's really, really shot. And because Santiago at no point was even competitive in that fight.
No.
And this is a true prospect in Gary Antoine Russell because he hasn't beaten anybody. And not to disparage him because I think he's really good, but Gary Antoine Russell didn't even have any good opponents. Okay, there's a guy, Juan Carlos Burgos, right? He didn't even have a name like that on his resume.
No, he didn't at all. I wonder who they're going to match him up with next. Because I feel like he can take a huge step up if he wanted to. Not
they
like
should put him in with the guy Akhmadov that Barrios fought.
That'd be good. Maybe real good. Maybe like Rances Bartholomew too. Former champion.
Yeah, no, it's a good name, but Bartholomew is always in a boring fight. Like there are always Rances Bartholomew fights.
If anyone can make it a fun fight, I think Gary Russell can. He looked real good. And plus he's exciting. And that's another thing. Like he's definitely an exciting knockout artist in his own right.
Do you think Gary Russell, Gary Russell Jr. is going to go the Robert Garcia route and just retire and just train his brothers?
I don't know, man. He's always one of those guys you can't predict. Let's be honest.
He doesn't really seem to be. Again, I think Gary Russell Jr. probably has the best skills in the sport, but he doesn't really seem to be in love with this, right? Like Garcia said, he wasn't really in love with boxing, but he loved training fighters. Mm-hmm. Interesting story. Carlos Formosa, right? They were both from Southern California. They're both champions at the same time. And Formosa's like, well, I'm better than you, but I want you to train me. And that's how Robert Garcia wasn't hearing that, right? But it put a seed in his head, right? here's my contemporary, who I've known my whole life, who wants me to train him. But you could see that Robert Garcia was a good teacher. So I'm saying, like, if Gary Russell Jr. doesn't want to do this, why not train your brothers?
You might not be a good trainer.
Yeah, I mean
you didn't think about that, did you, Gary?
He was working his brother's corner. Let's say he got his brother ready for this fight, did a good job. I don't know how involved he was, but
anyways, Gary, we have a massive Showtime pay-per-view this weekend on Sunday, not Saturday.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just looked at this June 6th. That's Sunday, right?
Yeah, that threw me off. I was not expecting that. It messed with some plans. But Gary, I mean, your thoughts on this card, I guess. Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul in an 8-round exhibition. No judges, but there can be knockouts. Also on the card, Badu Jack versus Dervin Colina, because John Pascal tested positive for banned substances.
We're gonna circle back to that, right? We're gonna get back.
It's a lot, right?
Spend some time on that. I had an interesting exchange with Santiago. Like, you can understand why a 38-year-old, however old he is, had this rejuvenation in his career.
Beat the fuck out of some prospects and contenders, man. Jared Hurd versus Luis Aries, and actually a decent matchup. And a bunch of other people that I largely don't care about. Gary, your thoughts?
I heard Gervonta Tank Davis beat the hell out of Luis Aries in sparring at the Mayweather gym. Yes. So Jared Hurd better beat him. If a lightweight beats you up, a middleweight better beat you up. This fight's at middleweight? Is that 160?
No, 154.
Oh, Aries is going back down to 54?
Oh, no, he's at middleweight. Hold on.
Yeah, I thought so, yeah.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. If a lightweight beats you up, like Tank, Jared Hurd better win this fight, and he better knock him out.
He's going to win the fight, but he's not going to knock him out because Jared Hurd is not the same Jared Hurd anymore.
No, J-Rock ruined him.
I don't know how he ruined him in that way, man, but you're right. J-Rock did. Because he's had, what, 2? Or no, he's only had one comeback fight since then, but he looked so poor in it.
He looked so bad. Remember he was trying to box up the back foot and be like a Mayweather trying to like Philly shell, like
against a welterweight. Against someone that's not even.
He wasn't even good as a welterweight.
It was so bad. What was he thinking?
As for the main event, like, I'm not into it. I know y'all. I know this is going to do a huge number. I don't know who's buying it. I don't. There's going to be Mayweather fans who buy it because it's their hero. And then you're going to have a whole new demo. I think the thing's going to do exceptionally well. I think as a money-making scheme, as a exercise in capitalism, I think it's going to be a massive success. I think they're going to make a ton of money, and I don't think there's no doubt that it's an exhibition. I'm sure they've already talked this out, kind of. I'm sure, like just chill a little bit, I'm not a boxer, but I'm sure obviously Floyd's going to have to win. I know there is no winner, but right. I mean, even if there's no winner, right? Like there's no judges, so there's no winner, I would suppose.
Well, I mean, someone gets finished.
Right. Which I would guess is going to have to happen. Right, like Floyd can't not finish a YouTuber. Like he still has ego, right? Like, yeah.
I think we're gonna see a mean Floyd in this fight. Like in the first round, he's gonna be aggressive, right?
He wasn't with Conor McGregor though, right? Like he
kind of was.
He let McGregor hang around till the 10th round or whatever, and then knocked him out because that's the round that he bet on himself to win.
So, what round did he bet on himself? That's the trick, right?
Vegas Insider, does anybody know? The last time he went on Jimmy Kimmel before the fight and said it, that's how we all knew. And they said he was only allowed to bet like $100,000, so he gave everyone a backpack full of cash, like all his entourage, all his bodyguards and stuff, with the same amount. Whatever, it was like $150,000, and they all made the bet that he knocked him out in the 10th round.
Yes. Way to go gambling. Yeah, I'm not too excited about the fight because I think it's going to go really one-sided. I think this was like I don't know. This was like jumping the shark in my mind for Logan Paul. Like Jake Paul is fighting like UFC fighters and beating them up because they're UFC fighters and they're old UFC fighters and they're not strikers. So that's how you can get away with it and still make money. Logan Paul is fighting arguably the best fighter of his generation in the last 30 years. Who the last time we saw still is pretty good. No matter the size, no matter whatever sort of eluded power that Logan Paul has or his sparring partners tell me that he has, I don't think he wins. I don't think he's going to be even that successful, to be quite honest. I think Floyd's going to neutralize whatever offense he throws at him quite early and beat him up and probably get him out of there within 6 rounds, if I had to guess.
He gets him out whenever he wants to get him out. He's Floyd Mayweather, and this is a YouTuber. Like, I know the guy has taken some boxing, and it's not like, but it's still Floyd Mayweather against a YouTuber, right? Like
Floyd Mayweather's going to hit harder than anyone that he's probably faced, and that's
right?
Not because, I know that he sparred some big guys and guys that 175 pounds, 100 cruiserweights and stuff like that, heavyweights, but Floyd Mayweather is one of the best for a reason because he hits fucking hard too, even though I think people don't realize that. This is not going to go well. I think it's going to do big business, like Gary says. I predict probably over 1.5 million pay-per-view buys, if I had to guess. And we're going to see something like this probably later this year. I assume when Jake Paul beats up Tyron Woodley, who's a UFC fighter, a former UFC fighter, that Jake Paul is going to come and fight Floyd Mayweather and try to revenge his brother. And Mayweather's going to do another 1.5 plus million pay-per-view buys later this year. Gary, any other thoughts on this?
No, I mean, I wish them the best. I hope they make a ton of money. I mean, I wasn't going to watch it unless Matt. I mean, they're going to crack down on this, right? Like, am I going to be able to watch it? Are you going to be able to find you're not buying it, right? Okay. Are you going to, do you feel confident that you can find a link that it's not going to get disrupted? Yes. All right.
I got like a Rolodex of links, man. We're good.
All right. I think I kind of want to watch it. I wasn't gonna watch it. Now I kind of feel like watching it. So I mean, you might be sending me a link or something for this. Because I know other fights, like big fights, they've cracked down on. Like they just they cut it. I feel like this is big enough that they would do that. Like I think 1.5 is. I think that's a safe number, but I think it could do way more than that. Just because I don't know. These Paul brothers are insanely famous, right? Like, I'm a sports guy. When Mariah Carey was dating Derek Jeter, like, they would say, oh, yeah, like a power couple. Like, which one do you think is more world famous? And, like, the sports people on the sports stars are like, oh, that's interesting. Probably about the same. And they had this metric where they measure people's fame. She was, like, 500 times more famous than Derek Jeter was, right? Like, I feel like Logan Paul is 500 times more famous than any athlete, right? Like, because he just appeals to a much broader people, like a group of people, right? Not just sports fans. So I think this 1.5, I would say, is safe. Like if you said 1.45 under or over, I feel safe going over on that. But it might do way more than that. Like it may go way over.
It might. Now you want to talk about John Pascal doing steroids?
He's making a big baby Miller looking like he's living the clean life.
I didn't read the report. Like, what did he actually test positive for?
The last one was EPO. That was the 4th one. But there were 3 other ones, and I just kind of skimmed the article. And so
I didn't know it was that bad. I didn't know it was another big baby. God damn, John Pascal. 4 different substances?
4 different. He had 4 different. I was saying that Joel Miller had 3. Right? Is that right?
Well, 3 that one time, but I think cumulative, I think it's 5 or 4.
Okay, because he had a prior test, right? And then he's had one since. So he's had 5 total. Yeah.
He's had 2 prior tests, yeah. But I think the 2 tests are repeats of the same substance.
Look,
yeah, man.
I'm going to say this. Pascal is a good fighter, and he got better at 38. That's not normal. Now, he's a great athlete with a great physique, right? Even when when he was young, he was. He's an athlete. So why he would get better later in life? Now, I'm not saying all of his success was based on steroids. It's a ridiculous statement, right? Like, well, Bonds was only a good hitter because he took steroids. Bonds was a good hitter because he could. Like, this notion that, like, I was a good high school baseball player who couldn't cut it in college. If I took steroids, I wasn't going to be a major leaguer. Like, that's not how it works. But Pascal extended his career and enhanced his career later in his career because he was on steroids. Now, the Marcus Brown fight, and Marcus Brown was complaining. He's like, Marcus Brown was like, beat me without steroids. It's like, okay, granted, but you beat women, so no one really wants to hear you, right? Like, no one really wants to hear. No one's feeling bad for Marcus Brown because he got beat up by a guy with roid rage, okay? The one
it's more like universal, karma. Karma. Marcus Brown was a domestic abuser, then he got beat up by a steroid abuser.
What are you saying, Marcus Brown? It was an unfair fight. Professional boxer, Olympian, beating up his baby mama.
And a lot of times,
yeah.
Yeah, that was like I remember what I forget what article came out. I think it was by Jake Donovan, like 2018-ish. That was like that big expose about it, and it was like detailed all the different times either police have been called or like he's been filed for domestic abuse, and it was a litany of times. Like it would make Floyd Mayweather blush.
Speaking of women beaters, Jim Lampley got a job again.
Did he beat women?
Yeah, he had a. This is
Was this like back in the day when I was like a kid or something?
Yeah, probably 13, probably 2007, 8. It was before.
Before I was
It was a while, but he had a restraining order against a girlfriend, and they went over there, and I don't know what happened, but she didn't press charges because I think he lost the fight. Kind of is what it seemed like because it's Jim Lampley. But yeah, Jim Lampley likes to beat women. And I can't stand, look, Jim Lampley is incredibly good at his job, right? Calling the punch by punch, there's nobody better. I can't stand Jim Lampley. Like, he annoys me. He tells you how great Jim Lampley is. Like, yeah, you like to beat women. I don't want to hear your mouth. Like, he had a restraining order for multiple cases, complaints of domestic abuse against a former girlfriend. And then he came over. And then, so he got arrested for breaking the restraining order, and then I think he dropped the charges on the domestic. But this is the Los Angeles Times wrote a big piece on it.
I'll look it up. That's nasty, Jim. Nasty. Anyways, Jim Lampley's always sucked. Like, let's be honest about it. Like, yeah, he signed this big deal with Triller Fight Club, and it's going to be an improvement probably over who they had in terms of technical ability. But he's always sucked. Like the only reason we've always said the DAZN telecast should poach the old HBO telecast team is because the DAZN telecast team is historically bad, like Hall of Fame atrocious in terms of all-time sports telecast teams. But the HBO is always, I thought, the inferior one to the Showtime team. Like I like Mauro Ranallo better than Jim Lampley, like Al Bernstein better than who would be the equivalent? Manuel Stewart?
Mauro Ranallo to HBO?
Mauro Ranallo would be the comparison to Jim Lampley.
Right. And then, you'd have...
Paulie would be the comparison to...
Roy Jones. And then Merchant would be... Or Max Kellerman would be...
That's right, Max. I forgot about Max. Yes, Max would be the comparison to Al Bernstein. Oh, yeah. The Showtime team is... Each person is better than the HBO team.
Oh, you think Ranallo is better than...
Yeah.
Okay. He's more excited, but Lampley is so good at it. He's like Mark Alvarez to basketball. He can create the game in your head, right? And
I think because Bernstein does that type of stuff more than let's say Max Kellerman did. Bernstein's that fucking Swiss Army knife. You can do everything and anything. And obviously they lost Paulie, but when they had Paulie was fantastic at his job too. I hate Paulie. The guy tried to find me and beat me up at a fight once, but and he called me a dirty mutt. Fuck Paulie Malinology. Digressing though, he was fantastic on the mic. That's just how I have to be honest about it, And again, Roy Jones Jr. I thought sucked on the mic. Larry Merchant sucked. Harold Letterman, God rest his soul, was annoying. I'll just be honest. I'd rather take Steve Harhood any day of the week.
Oh, sure, but Merchant was a fan of boxing, right? And you saw that, he loved boxing, right? He was a fan. I don't really know how he got the job, but, I like Merchant in the sense you could tell, he loved what he was doing. He loved boxing. Mauro Ranallo seems like he's having fun. Gus Johnson seems like you're having fun. And I think, Well, Gus Johnson's incredibly good at what he does too, but like I think that like that reflects itself on the microphone. It's more enjoyable to listen to, right? Like again, I don't know what Merchant really brought to the telecast other than like he loved boxing. Shane Mosley, I love you, right? Like he just seemed to really, really like boxing.
I feel like he was like the flip side of like a Teddy Atlas. Like they're both just annoying fans.
I love
like,
Teddy.
Get him off the mic. No,
I
God,
love Teddy Atlas.
No, I can't stand Teddy.
Like you can have
because my issue is that they play favorites. Like the HBO telecast was notorious for playing network favorites. Like the HBO machine is something I talked about all the time.
I remember I was just married at the time when Bradley and Pacquiao fought the first time, and we're watching the fight, and he's Jim Lampley's going into his punch by punch, and and my wife just goes, "Are we watching the same fight?" Right, it's that bad, but the thing is, it's like brainwashing. He's so good at it. Like Lampley is so good at it. Like you start to question what you're seeing. Right, everyone was outraged. If you watched the fight without any sound on, you probably thought the fight was maybe you thought Pacquiao won. That's fine, but there was no robbery, no outrage. It was a very close fight, right? But it's just that Lampley is so good, and he keeps telling you what you're seeing, and it plays in your brain, right? Like I don't know how brainwashing works, but it probably works like that.
Anyways, thoughts on him going to Triller?
It's good that Triller is. To me, it's a sign that Triller is taking boxing seriously. That's not treating it like a WWE, like a sideshow form of entertainment. That's taking it and it's treating it like a serious sport. I always said the Zone, which was cutting no expenses, should have got Jim Lampley. I don't know what contractual obligations he had, but they were throwing so much money around. They could have bought him out of his HBO contract. I'm sure of it.
Did you see Roy Jones say that he wasn't paid his full purse from Triller?
Ooh, that's not a good sign.
No,
that's not good.
And I think he alluded that Mike Tyson also did not get paid his full purse.
Ooh, wow, that's gonna because it's been a while now, right? I mean, yeah, we're past we're past settlement +3. You owe me money now, right? Like you owe me a check.
I'm curious how that's going to go down. I am curious about the longevity of Triller because they're doing some things right and a lot of things wrong, in my opinion.
If that's true, and I'm sure if you ask Triller, they'll have another side of the story. If there's a shred of truth to what Roy Jones is saying, this is not good. The two biggest names you've paid in what did you 1.6 million? You didn't pay them. Who's going to go fight for you at this point? So you're this brand new thing to boxing. I know you're not new, but you're new to boxing.
Can you imagine they don't pay Tio his full purse? Well, let's say the pay-per-view bombs because it's most likely going to bomb. They don't pay him his full purse.
And they don't pay him the $5 billion they guaranteed him. There's so many fights you're going to go to purse bids now, just on the hope that Triller bids on it, right? Like, all right, maybe Triller doesn't bid on it, and I lose a few bucks. But what if Triller does bid on it and they pay 5 times what it's worth? It's worth the risk, right? It's worth the gamble.
I can't believe they bought that fight and do it on pay-per-view. It's going to do so bad. But you mentioned the Zone.
What sucks is it's on against Charlo, it's on against Munguia, and it's on against Inoue. So it's like this. That's the best fight of the day, right? But it's the best fighter of the day. But like, why am I going to spend $50 to watch a mismatch when I can watch 3 other mismatches for free?
Jamal Charlo's fight or Jamel Charlo's fight?
Jamal Charlo is fighting in Houston, right? Yes. And then you got the Monsters fighting, and you also have the Munguia card, which I think, for an entertainment standpoint, the Munguia fight's the most fun. Now, I know it's Munguia, and it is what it is, but Munguia is fun to watch. Like, I don't think Munguia is a world beating either. I don't even think he's a top 15 guy necessarily at 160, but he's fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Last piece of news today, then we're going to head out of here. Eddie Hearn and Matt from UK have officially left Sky Sports for a 5-year deal with DAZN, 16 shows in the UK and Ireland a year. Expect big Anthony Joshua fights to now be on DAZN heading forward. So the upcoming, I would assume this fight's going to get made. Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk will be on DAZN in the UK. Gary, your thoughts on this big move? I know Eddie Hearn said that he believes Sky Sports is going to still have boxing, but I really don't know what's in there in the market for them to pick up. I mean, Frank Warren and Queensberry are with BT. And there's really no other significant promotional company in the UK that would probably generate the interest that Sky would want to pay money for. So, I mean, your thoughts on this seismic shift in the UK market?
So let's tie this when we're done. There was some news. I don't know if I posted about the Usyk Joshua extension because let's get into that.
They got an extension finally
to negotiate. Yeah, but this to me doesn't change much because I watch all Matchroom Boxing on DAZN anyway, right? So it doesn't change much for me. Although, I mean, right? It doesn't really change anything for us in the US, does it?
No. I mean, it would just maybe show that the links between Matchroom and DAZN are more solidified.
Would we get more cards, right? Because there are Matchroom cards that we never got on DAZN. I feel like maybe there were some, yeah. So we may get more cards. So it's probably good for us. It is a seismic change, right? Because it shows Sky Sports.
Sorry, hold on. Liam is correcting me, saying Joshua has one fight left with Sky. So the Joshua Usyk might be the last Sky Sports pay-per-view. But in terms of on the schedule, the last fight for Matchroom on Sky will be the Lewis Ritson fight.
Who is Ritson fighting?
I forget, some guy.
Where's Rob? Rob would have that information.
Robert Norman, what European belt he's won and all that stuff.
When Frampton lost, Rob said he wasn't really a Frampton fan. So if Ritson loses, will he not really be a Ritson fan either?
Dude, he's already disowned Ritson. I feel like he has in some texts. I could be wrong, but I feel like he's already disowned his boy Lewis Ritson.
Okay,
that's what Rob does, man. When his guys start losing, he just ditches them.
Yeah, I mean, that's not loyalty. What kind of loyalty is that?
But yeah, I mean, the only thing I can really say about this is that DAZN and Matchroom have obvious financial ties, and that will be continued. That will be strengthened through this deal. I wonder what this can do for DAZN in the UK market. I do think boxing is bigger comparative to other sports in that market. When you juxtapose it with, let's say, boxing in the U.S. market and what it's competing against, boxing's lower on the rung than, say, in the U.S. than it is in the U.K. But I still think DAZN needs a British Premier League, a Championships League, something like that. It's got
Serie A in Italy. I don't know. Do they have that in DAZN? If you live in the UK, can you watch Series A? Serie A? I don't know. I don't even know who I'm talking to. I'm sure there's someone in there. Can you watch it on DAZN in the UK, or is it only in Italy that you can watch it? Because that would be something, right? It caused a giant increase in the price of DAZN in Italy.
Yes.
And there's no Serie A team from Sicily. That's got to change. It's ridiculous.
The Sicilian discrimination.
It is. It is. Always treated like second-class citizens.
Gary, we're going to have
those rich folk. Oh, can we talk about an Usyk extension? Because Usyk.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Can we talk about the rich folk up north in northern Italy? Those people who stick their noses up at us.
The Yankees.
The Yankees of
Italy.
The Yankees of Italy. You stick their noses up at us, people. See, I'm Southern, all the way around. Southern. We travel again to Italy, so that's good news. We can go back.
I'm gonna try to travel this year. That's what I want to do. I want to go to Asia.
We go back to Italy. My daughter wants to go to Africa and go on a safari. I don't know where that came from, but that's her new thing. Yeah, because when she was 4, she said, "I want to go to Paris." I was like, "You want to go to Disney?" World? No, I want to go to Paris. I was like, "You got some caviar dreams there, young lady." Anyway, Usyk, and Joshua got extended. So that looks like it's going to happen. I was thinking that they were going to do everything in their power to not make that fight happen because that's a fight Joshua can't win. Look, guys can say what you want. This is going to get in the way. Like, he's going to have to take this fight. And Usyk deserves it. Usyk's earned the right to fight this. He's done everything in his power, too. And thank God he did not sign on the line that was dotted for the Joe Joyce fight, because this would be off the table, right? Eddie was trying to just take the Joyce fight. Take the Joyce fight. He can even do it over there. I don't want to ruin my baby. And you're going to get in the way of my baby. And Usyk is going to get in the way of the baby. It looks like it's going to happen. Usyk, do not price yourself out of this. I know it's easy for me to say because I'm not the one who's potentially leaving millions on the table, but do not price yourself out. Don't get too picky. Just kind of take the offer that they give you and go beat AJ. Right? If he wins, you would imagine there'd be a rematch clause? You would think, right?
Of course, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Clean up on the rematch clause, beat him twice.
It's not happening, but yes, I'm pretty sure there's a rematch clause. But anyways, Gary, we're gonna head out of here. It's so fucking hot here in LA in the studio. I need to put the AC on and do some other work. Gary, we're gonna be back though, talking some politics soon. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. You sent me a bunch of stuff. So I've been skimming through it. I've been looking through it. It's a lot. You sent me a lot of stuff.
I apologize.
No, don't apologize.
I hope it's at least entertaining to read to some degree.
Who gave me something? You shouldn't be able to own an investment home. That got the blood boiling. That was an interesting topic to discuss.
Is that what did he say that? Fucking fool, man.
His wife was watching a remodeling show on an investment home, and whatever.
And that should be on the Training Now Network on YouTube, probably next week if I have to assume. Also, going to talk about Ghana and Israel and other topics next week as well on that channel. And obviously next week we'll be back with Mixed Combat Radio talking about the Floyd Mayweather fight, what happened with it, and other boxing news. You can find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all social media platforms. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, patreon.com/Training Now Network. And remember, at all times, fuck the police and free Palestine. Gary.
Find me all forms of social media, 3D Boxing Blog. Remember, there's a brand new channel, Texas Boxing Scene, on YouTube. All proceeds go to autism research and recovery. There's a bunch of new content on that. There's an interview with Marco Antonio Barrera, which you guys will like. Not that has anything to do with Texas boxing, except he went to a fight in Dallas. I talked to him.
I most likely will be at his fight with Soto Carras.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's also got an exhibition with Morales in Arlington coming up.
Yeah. That was already signed.
Yeah.
That one should be much better than the Soto Carras fight.
I don't know why he's fighting Soto Carras.
Soto Carras is like a real exhibition. Like they're gonna do like headgear and shit, I believe.
Okay.
And the Eric Morales fight's, I believe, a legit fight. Like, I don't think that's it's an exhibition without headgear. It's more legit. I don't know.
I asked him about Morales, and I asked him, because he said him and Hamed, Nassim Hamed, like they had some beef, but like he likes Hamed. I said, how about Morales? He's like, eh. Barrera's a great guy though. Like everyone had a side. I love both sides, but everyone had a side, and I was Team Morales. But now after I've got to talk to them, like now Team Barrera. But find me all forms of social media, 3D Boxing Blog. Remember, Texas Boxing Scene. Or please subscribe, even if you don't like Texas or me. All proceeds go to autism research and recovery. So I really want to get that monetized up and running as quickly as possible. That's Texas Boxing Scene on YouTube. It is June 3rd, 2021. Ivan Calderon is still not in the Boxing Hall of Fame. Let's get that to change. Let's make that change. And Texas is still not a country. Let's make that change. From Texas to the world, thank you and God bless.
Peace.